Hi, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Almost Live with Bob and Kevin. How this journey began and how the title of the show came about is a story in and of itself. Bob, when did I first meet you? What year was it? Like 1998, 7?
Yeah, 1990. Yeah, 1998. I think we met each other at Tony Rumble event, and then started doing TV for WWF as an extra a year later
Mm-hmm.
in 1999, and then it kind of just moved on from there. And then we saw a lot of each other on in the next 2 or 3 years, and we talked all the time. Not all the time, but we talked quite a bit on the phone. Uh, Trying to figure out ways how I could serve WWF better and realized that I didn't want to work for WWF. So kind of ratcheted off that and then just kind of went and did my thing for a couple of days at TV and then moved on. And then when you parted ways with WWF in 2003, we started doing a lot of stuff on the independents and just like that. And then really you and I started doing seminars and stuff in probably 2009, 2010.
Yeah, I
And
know.
together, yeah. And yeah, it was good. It was good. It's been a good relationship. So
And I think that this is good because neither of us have the patience or the attention span to write a book, which we probably should do one day. But again, a weekly get together with all of our friends and followers and people who are just seeking knowledge, I
yep.
think is a great way for us to stay focused and to keep the train on the tracks moving forward at all times.
Hey, we've done a month's worth. This is our fourth one. So first month
They said
down.
it wouldn't last. They said it was, we were, first of all, they said it was, you can't do it live, so the show's ruined. They said that.
I think it
And
was
now we're
we.
doing it almost live and it's even better and the audience is growing. So
I
thank you
think
for
it,
that.
I think yes. Thank you, audience. We appreciate you. I think we said it wouldn't last.
Oh, that's right.
um.
That was us.
Uh. So so today we're gonna catch up. I'm gonna let's address the crocodile in the room. It's behind you, by the way. Yep, there it is. Uh, how are we doing with your wrestling company? Where are we now? What are there any updates? I know last
Yeah.
week you were working on IP and trademarks and copyrights, and maybe looking at a couple of buildings. Where are we?
Okay. So we have a building and we have a date. And coming up after this podcast, I am venturing over to that building to drop off the check for the deposit for the building. Now, those three things are those three things, the building. Then over here on the business formation side, um, a mutual friend of ours who is in the legal profession, he and I are working together on creating the company legally in the eyes of the state of Pennsylvania and the nation, I guess, and registering all the documents and getting all of that done. Within the next day or so, I anticipate receiving a, um, a document of sorts that shows people that, hey, this is what's happening, even though all the forms haven't been filed yet. Um, I have a ring booked. I have the insurance. I have the license. You got to have those three things for Pennsylvania. I haven't gotten a doctor yet.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a social media person who is going to be coming on board soon. I'm waiting on a logo. That's in the hands of the artiste. And he and I spoke last week. And we're going to have some more conversation, I'm sure, here soon. Um,
You got to have the Christmas trees all lined up behind the logo of wrestling because it's Christmas Crush Wrestling. So we all have to have the
no,
nice snow-capped mountains and Santa waving, and maybe he's in his wrestling gear and he's ready to go. Maybe putting a reindeer in a sharpshooter or something like that. What's
for those of you that weren't following our nonsense online, coming up with the name for the promotion has been interesting, and being able to play on Chat GPT allows you to create like a thought. I'm thinking something like this, and something like this pops up, which is obviously AI. And so um, Bob and I started going around about when to run and whatever. And Christmas morning is Bob's idea. Brilliant, right?
I think
Who
it's
else
great.
runs on
It'll be
Who
around.
else
It'll be
runs on
great.
Christmas morning?
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, Christmas Crush Wrestling. That's not the name of the company.
I think by the way, he's trying to like swerve you guys. It really is the name of it. So ask anyone. Just well, you know
Out of
what?
those
Don't check.
three words,
Trust me. Don't check with
out of
anyone. Trust me.
Christmas, out of Christmas, Crush, and Wrestling, I can guarantee you that only one of those three words will be in the name.
And we know what it is. Christmas Crush. All one word. So, all right. Well, thank you for the update on that. We
Yep.
uh we have a lot of business to take care of as far as we want to let people know that we just picked up another date. Kevin and I and I've been doing coaching calls all week. Thank you guys. By the way, thank you guys. Very grateful to be at your service. And please contact me if I can be of service. Helping wrestlers scale their business because you guys are all small businesses. Helping wrestlers scale their business, and it might not be from 1 to 10x or 100x. It might be from I'm losing $40 a show to breaking even or making 20 or 30 bucks a show to start, and then we move on from there. One of the things that breaks my heart is I don't want to see young wrestlers give up because of a financial burden. So let's figure out a way to make that work. Let's figure out a way to pull the future forward, get you guys going a little faster, get you guys moving in the right direction. Promoters, it's obvious. Kevin and I have spent years watching independent promoters. We can really point you in the right direction on that. Save a lot of time. I think one of the things that the people appreciate us the most is the time saving factor. Is we don't, we put a combined almost 70 years of wrestling into watching, helping other promoters who may only have only been around for a couple of years. And if they're losing $1,000 a show, we really try to stop the bleeding right there. And we want you guys to come home with money. We want you guys to be able to pay the bills, have a little bit in the bank to cover the next show, and then come home with a little bit of money so we can honor our family, honor ourselves, whatever. That's kind of where we are. So we've been busy as heck, Kevin. I know you're this weekend as we tape this on Friday, April 11th. You are going to visit our friends, right, in Hamburg
I'll be
tomorrow.
there. I'll be there on Saturday.
What are you getting, jumped? What's going on?
No, the dog is barking.
Well, put some ice on it.
Oh, he's a small dog with a big voice.
Right.
I'm going to AXW tomorrow in Hamburg. Um, and I don't know if there are spots available. So as I say this, and as you're watching this at the last, and if you're making an 11th hour decision to go to Hamburg to participate in the Donovan Dijak seminar, I would reach out to the website uh, and try to contact somebody to see if there is any availability, any spots. He's doing a seminar, then he's main eventing, chasing O'Shea Edwards in the AXW World Title in the main event for the special Autism Awareness Show, the annual event that they run every April, World Autism Month, and proceeds directly benefit the local chapter of Autism Speaks in the Berks County area. So that's Saturday. And you got, where are you going? What are you doing?
Undisclosed. It's I can't divulge at this time, but there is travel. There are miles, either driven or flown, or maybe a choo-choo train. Um,
Well,
there
tell
has
Canada we said hello.
Hello, Canada. Nice to
Hello.
meet you. Um,
Don't
but
forget your pass. Don't forget your passport, Bob, and tell the boys in the car don't forget their passport, because
and
that
don't
is like
bring
that's rule number one.
exactly, and don't bring your baking powder in a clear plastic baggie so they can take a good look at it and prove to them that it's baking powder because you'll probably get pulled
And
over.
I put it on my teeth.
It's for my teeth. It's for my teeth. I hope they don't stop us. and other things that other implements that you'll get fined a lot of money if you bring two. So, um, shout out to the late great Kevin Butcher Hughes. We love you.
God rest his soul. And
Yeah,
Fluffy.
and Fluffy. That's right. Fluffy was his cat because that's obvious. I don't know why people didn't already know that. So yeah, we're going to be doing something tomorrow, and hopefully all will be revealed as far as that Saturday night. So keep an eye on social media, things like that. No, I'm not debuting at AEW or WWE. Sorry, they'll somehow venture on and soldier on without me. They've done it so far. I'm sure they can do it again. So
Listen, I want you to see if there's any takers for Christmas Crush Christmas Crush
you better
Wrestling.
keep saying the name. It's your name. You came up
No,
all by
because you're
yourself.
giving it away to our Canadian friends that you're going to see this weekend. Give it to them.
How about so on all the H's, right? Now there's only two H's. So
Right.
maybe but the C's, maybe something on the C, like a C, like let's see, do we have any? We don't have any O's. So you maybe on the U's you could do like stockings hanging on the U's, and then you could have like a wreath on the maybe on the G, and then on the
I want
C
you to
you
I
could do
want you to go on the sea, and I want you to drown.
what a weird.
Okay?
Oh, I get it. Thank you. That's very nice. Um, why don't you throw a ball at the wall and see if it hits? And yeah,
This
yeah,
is the content that people are downloading, wrestlers are downloading, promoters are downloading, and taking it on the car trips with them. You
we're
understand that?
we're you got to remember we're two grown men who went to college. We're educated men from educated families, and this is
Yes.
where we are. So,
You know,
so
my father went to, and I always forget this, he went to Washington and Lee University.
oh, I thought the two generals.
No, no, no. He went to Washington and Lee. And my mom didn't go to college, but she got advanced certificates in her job in the aerospace industry. My mother started, my dad had a stroke when I was 11 years old, and he obviously couldn't work anymore. So my mother had to go and work. And she
Wow.
got a job with Grumman Aerospace and was a file clerk, something, very entry level position. Wound up working her way up the company, and she was there for 20 years, and retired with a high level job where she was working on the Warthog, which was like a multi-purpose military piece of flying equipment. I don't think it was a jet, but she knew her stuff when it came to aerospace and building planes for the Navy. It was like, what are you, what a career.
That's
And your mom and your parents were in education, right?
Yeah, my mom, well, she went to school for library science. She ran the Somerset Public Library in Massachusetts for years, wrote the biggest grant in town history at the time to get a new library put in. Wrote another grant, the second biggest, well, the biggest again, to get it renovated, and pretty much achieved legendary status in the town. There's plaques, around town with her name on it, stuff like that. And my dad was a teacher at Maryview Quirk Middle School in Warren, Rhode Island, and then later on Kickamuit Middle School when they regionalized for Bristol Warren, kind of like the English version of Mr. Holland's Opus, just legendary guy, legendary teacher, and just actually they live right down the street from me. I just visited to drop off scholarship paperwork for Robbie because they got to bring it to church to get it signed, and hopefully that'll happen. But yeah, my parents are in their early 80s and still active and moving around and doing things, and hopefully I hope to be as busy as they are at that age. First of all, I hope to be that age. Second of all, I hope to be as busy as at that age. So
I work currently in the trucking industry, and I'm a dispatcher. And it's a great job, and I work for a great company. We have a new driver, and I could tell that this lady was older. And I said hello,
that's
and
not very nice. I hope you didn't say that to her face.
No. I mean, she has gray hair, and
I can tell you're
uh,
old.
she's an older woman. You could tell it.
All right,
And
settle
I
down.
guessed, I was like, wow, she's got to be in her 60s. And when I introduced myself to her, hi, I'm Kevin, one of the managers here, and she stuck out her hand and shook my hand. I was like, ow, not quite Billy Gunn, not quite Harry Smith, but a good grip. And this woman has spent her whole life in trucking.
Mm.
Um, and she's told me some stories about being stuck in the ice and the snow, and driving across country as an owner operator. She had her own rig. She did all these different things. And this is her retirement, she said. Okay, so now I'm really on to something. I know she's in her 60s. Nope. She's 82 years old, Bob.
Holy mackerel.
She's going out every night. She starts at 3 in the morning, and she's picking up containers and taking them to the rail. And she's picking up boxes from the rail and delivering them to customers. This is physical work. This isn't sit in the truck and drive across country. This is 4 stops a night. And she's 82 years old. I was like, my God, what an inspiration. So again, I think again, it's, and trucking is not a lifestyle that leads to long life, because you sit a lot and you don't eat well and you don't get a lot of sleep. But here she is, God bless her, 82 years old, still getting it done. So there's hope for us.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of hope, we want to just talk about a couple of future dates, and then we'll get on to today's subject. So, May 2nd, we are at White River Wrestling in Indiana for our friend Jake Oman. And then May 3rd and 4th, we are in Elyria, Ohio for Brandon Xavier, Mega Wrestling. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
I've done a seminar or two with Brandon, but I've never wrestled on one of his shows, and I'm wrestling for the belt. So that should be, so maybe I'll come home with championship gold. And then we just signed the contracts. The ink is dry. The contracts have been signed. May 17th, it's we are going back to our friends at Excite Wrestling. I know you and I have been there in separate circumstances, and this is the first time we'll do it together, combined. Again, big seminar. They have great schools, HC Loke and our friend Sean Carr and
Yep.
Johnny Moose. They're all doing great things there, and we're looking forward to going back there. So it's a busy month. Week after, I'm in Vancouver Island. Week after that, I think I get a break, and then all of June is booked. So it's
Yeah. May
wow.
10th, I'm going to be at the 90s WrestleCon at the Benin Sports Arena in Morristown, New Jersey.
That's
For
right.
our friend Tommy Fierro. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be the physical debut of the new wrestling company that I'm running, their logo. I want to, I'll be doing autographs. I got pictures. And I also want to meet and shake hands and say hi and collect your information so that I can send you more information about this new upcoming wrestling company that we're starting. And then on the 31st, I am going to be in Pittsburgh for a super camp, which I'm really excited about. And there's information online. It's called Pittsburgh Super Camp, if you want to look it up. And they got 4 great coaches. I know John McChesney's going to be there. I'm going to be one of them. Chris LaRusso is helping to spearhead the whole thing. He wants to bring the best athletes from everywhere that can come to Pittsburgh and show their wares, learn, and take away a ton of knowledge in a one-day seminar. And what we do here is a little microcosm of that. If you want to think about it, a little bite-sized piece every week of things that we go over and things that we cover in these seminars. And each seminar is different, and each seminar is customized for the audience. And we can adjust on the fly. As I proudly wear my Manny Lemons t-shirt this week, when we went out to Utah and traveled to Wyoming for Manny Lemons and Devotion Championship Wrestling a couple of months ago, I had a preconceived notion of the experience level of the students that we would be teaching and then watching on the show later that night. And what we found is, as soon as we got there, that the experience level was very, very low. These were mostly beginners. So therefore, we kind of simplified things and kind of went back to step, not just step one, but the lead up to step one.
Mhm.
And it was a great learning experience for us because we have so much stuff in our head, Bob, that we're really able to adjust on the fly. We don't come in with like, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We see what they can digest and adjust our curriculum accordingly.
Yeah, it's a reps thing. I mean, we've done probably between us, we've done probably 400 seminars. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of practice there, a lot of um, a lot of reps, a lot of wisdom. So yeah, we'll feel free to reach out to us. We can do advanced classes, we can do intermediate, we can do beginners, we can do pretty much whatever you guys need, promo camps, things like that. Uh, we'd love to work with you. Please reach out, and we're happy to help. So speaking of reaching out and happy to help,
Right.
today's topic, Kevin, is things that the mistakes wrestlers make, common mistakes we see, and um, maybe some we've even made in the past. And
No, not us.
not us. We thought we were wrong that one time, but we ended up being mistaken. So let's kind of go over the main ones. And I think that I titled it the four mistakes, but it could be more. It could be, but there are some real main mistakes that we can tackle. Do you have one off that top of your head? Have you
The
been
main
thinking
the
about this?
and when we say the term mistake, it's a catch-all, right?
Right.
Mistakes are learning opportunities. Again, Bob and I have made more than our fair share of mistakes. We make mistakes every day, but we learn from them. Mistakes are learning opportunities.
Yes.
Mistakes are requests for more information. When I come across someone and they make a mistake, more times than not, it's because they don't have the proper information. And what we're here to do is to give you that proper information. One of the real growth opportunities that I see for wrestlers today, especially those young starting in their careers, is to maximize what you're already doing. And this is related to a conversation that you had, a day or so ago with a mutual friend of ours, and who is a brilliant writer and a knowledgeable person of the industry who sought out Bob for some wisdom, some knowledge on a coaching call. And what he discovered is that this guy was already writing, he was already doing stuff, but it's a it's a frequency thing. Well, I post once a week or I post, once a day. You're doing the work. You're already interesting to your fans and your followers, but you're not touching them enough. You're not reaching out to them enough. You're not communicating with them enough. And it's not just enough to say, I'm appearing at XYZ Wrestling, or where would you like to see me wrestle next? It's engagement. It's growth. It's how do I engage with my audience and turn them into advocates? People are followers. People are interested in you, and they're your ready-made fans. You need to grow that base by engaging with them on a more frequent basis. Now, Bob, you said, and I asked you, well, how many times a day do you post? And it was more than I even thought.
Yeah, I was posting 2 or 3 times a day, 4 times a day, and now it's closer to 10 times a day, sometimes 12, sometimes 15. The average is probably still, if you add everything up, it's probably still like between 5 and 8, but I'm trying to get it to 10. Just because you're sick of your own stuff, and this is something I've had to learn, and all the brilliant, smart marketing teachers that make way more money and know way more stuff. See, we're newbies in this space too, guys. We're learning every day from smarter people in this field than us. But maybe Kim Kardashian can do one post for $250,000 and not post for a while and get 1 million likes and get a ton of that's one of the most well-known people in the world. We can't do that. We have to constantly, and we're not vying for attention with spamming people and doing nonsense. Some of the stuff I do is repurposed. I go back into my memories, I repurpose stuff, I send stuff out, I tweak a message. If it's something about Daniel Bryan, I may change it to Cody Rhodes. I may switch a few words around. There may be something in there I don't really believe anymore, so I erase that sentence and I add another sentence that tightens up the message. But you can always go and repurpose stuff. 80% of people probably haven't seen your stuff, and you probably have new followers from before. So yeah, that's one of the things I think people don't realize. They have such a small, and we've talked about this with promoters. You and I have had this conversation with promoters. You don't have a big enough data set to even say if you're successful or not. Maybe you're crazy successful because every other wrestling show drew 50 in this town until you came by and drew 125. Now the building holds 500 and you want to do 500, but you're 2.5 times more successful than the last 3 promoters that have been here in the last 10 years, but you don't see it because you want more, and that's great. So, but a lot of it is you don't have a big enough sample. You have to reach out to people. We've talked about this a couple weeks ago. It used to be 7 impressions could get you a sale, could get you attention. Now it's closer to 20 or 30. It all depends. But so if you need 20 or 30 impressions, you have to work hard to get those impressions. And again, it's not dumb posts and just spamming everybody and sharing everything you see, but you have to make and maybe I'm the extreme example and that's scary for you. Okay, once a day might be enough. We used to Tim and I used to have a challenge: post once a day on Instagram for a year, and one girl did it, and we gave her a gift card, but she grew her audience. Now I would post 5 times a day, as silly as that sounds, whatever your lane is. But post, use everything. You may be, again, what Kevin said was, you're doing a lot of the right things. You're just not doing them with enough frequency. So that's a good one. That's a real good number one. Can I bring another one in? So
Please.
I think one of the big mistakes the wrestlers are making are, and this is one is not going to surprise anyone, not going to surprise you, not going to surprise them, is they're not borrowing enough from the past. So, and one of the things I've been saying, and this has been an analogy that's kind of been in the back of my brain, and I've finally been able to clarify it. Quentin Tarantino made a whole career on ripping off old movies. And I'm saying that in quotations. Obviously, he's a very bright guy, but he was basically the biggest movie mark you'll ever meet in your entire life. And he had encyclopedic information in his brain about all these movies. And so he borrowed from everybody, but he presented it in a different way. And not only did it make him more popular, but it made the other movies more popular. And when I watched Citizen Kane for the first time, now it came out in 1932, but I watched it for the first time last year, I said, boy, that was a good movie, but I'm missing something. I need context. I need it explained to me. So I watched about a 45-minute documentary on how mind-bendingly innovative it was. Orson Welles pretty much invented a million things, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, obviously, but he invented probably 50 things in that movie that are used to this day, almost 100 years later. So, and Orson Welles was an indie-fed movie guy. He never sold out to the man. He always was an independent guy. That's why he wasn't more famous. And by the way, when he was 26 years old, he made the greatest movie of all time, What Do You Do Now? So, but the movie still holds up. Check it out. But then there's some really good YouTube documentaries on it. There's some really good IFC documentaries, that kind of stuff. AMC, whatever the big movie channel is. But Quentin Tarantino borrowed from everybody. What is it? If you borrow from one, it's stealing. And if you borrow from a lot, it's research, the old Cornette line. So watch old tapes, not because back in my day, everything was so much better, but you are 95% of the time, unless you get booked by AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan, you're wrestling a house show style. You're wrestling 8 to 12 minutes, babyface heel in front of families. And they want to boo, they want to cheer. They may not even realize they want to boo and cheer, but when they're there, that's what they want to do. They want to have a good time. And you have to keep the stuff at a fifth grade level. I think a lot of the stuff on TV is now trying to be on a college level, and people are lost in space because that's not. WWE does 22-minute promos to explain to you exactly John Cena's a bad guy and Cody Rhodes is a good guy. They are not letting anything drop. They are not hiding anything from you. It is quite obvious what they're doing. It's funny because It's kind of like the Attitude Era with the TBS 1986, 1987 format of long promo, a little bit of a match, some match to flavor it up, and then come see us. I was actually explaining to come see us at the PLE, the pay-per-view, whatever. I was explaining this. I was on a podcast earlier today. I think they're doing that on purpose for obvious reasons. Triple H is a territory guy, but I think they're doing it because I think they're going to market. And Nick Khan said this. He said that they're going to market the PLEs as their own separate thing, possibly. So we may be back to buying pay-per-views again. We may be back to subscribing to another place that just has the PLEs. You never know. I don't know if that's just a threat or negotiating in the papers, as they used to say. But the format is the format is there. Set the table on TV and pay it on the pay-per-views. Your comments, sir.
Well, obviously, what I think WWE and AEW are able to do and afforded the luxury of doing is using television to get those elements across. What we see so often is that a lot of promoters, a lot of creative people in the industry, but on the independent level, they're looking to create Citizen Kane, but they don't have but they're stealing from the current product. They're mirroring the current product instead of going back in time. So therefore, what they seem like to the audience in attendance is a poor man's version of what they're already seeing on TV. And what we've said many times to promoters is if they're watching it on TV for free, why are they going to pay money to come watch you do a high school musical version of the exact same thing? And what we talk about a lot is borrowing from generations past. And you have to watch wrestling not just from the Ruthless Aggression era, but you have to go back to the Dark Ages, to the 1970s, to the early 1980s, to the mid 1980s, to find a style of wrestling that speaks to the audience that attends these shows today. There was a reason why that those promotions drew in their local markets. And yeah, they had television to tell people to come. And yes, there was less competition. And yeah, there was only 3 or 4 channels. We get all of that. But the style of wrestling was easily duplicatable, and it got a reaction. And then you post a video from a show I'm guessing in Tennessee. I know Chase Stevens was a part of it. And it's the exact same style of wrestling that we're so behind now, which is the basics, the house show basics, the arm drags, the hip tosses, the easy stuff that you're doing in practices. And we see so little of that in the shows. I used to remark all the time in New Japan, there's not been one arm drag on this show. And then, of course, Yuya Uemura comes back. And because he threw a good arm drag, now we see it more frequently used. There's very little hip tosses. We don't see that. A hip toss is used now as a transition in the middle of a running spot to change direction. And people appreciate that, but the local audience doesn't want to see a poor man's version of what Speedball Mike Bailey can do. And that's what he does. And let him be special and let him be unique. You could become special and unique by taking from a style that the audience, to the folks out there who are going to come to your show again once or twice a year, the minor league baseball model, and they're going to hoot and holler at the wrestlers and have a good time. And they're going to come back maybe at the end of the year or for a special fundraising event. They're going to come back a second time because they know that you're giving them the basic elementary emotional connection with the product. If guys are doing a running spot, a long series of Will Ospreay, Ricochet type of thing, they can appreciate it, but they may not connect to it on an emotional level. And what we want is to get reactions out of people by bad guy does something bad, good guy gets his revenge. Bad guy gets more frustrated, does more bad things, and babyface, the good guy, continues to overcome, to thwart the efforts until eventually that bad guy comes up with the plan. And this plan is going to work. And it's working. Oh my gosh, it's working so well. And the referee is frustrated and the fans are frustrated. Everybody's frustrated until Popeye's spinach can comes out. Here we go. The big comeback. And we send the people home happy. So it's very simple. Mm-hmm. There's tons of footage on YouTube from the 1970s. And you need to watch it more than once. The first time you're going to watch it, you're going to go, oh, look at these guys. Look at their hair. Look at the styles. Look at what they wore. Oh, my gosh. Look at this. Look at these people in the audience. And then go back and watch it again and start to look at the wrestlers and start to look at what they do and the reasons why they're doing it. And then watch it again for the audience's reaction to what they're doing. What gets a reaction? Why are people reacting? Why did people react so well in the 1970s and 80s to things? Because it looked cool and they liked it. And it's easy to do the simple thing, the elementary thing, and make it look cool. Put your own style and your own flavor on it, and it'll be cool. I watched a match from 1953 the other night, Bob. I think I was telling you about it. And
that's the year you were born.
No. The heel in the match was an old timer who had wrestled a lot with Thez, they said, in the 40s. And this is from California, this is from Los Angeles. So they said, and now Crippler Ray, it wasn't Crippler Ray Stevens, but it was like Crippler Dan something. And he now works in Hollywood and he does a lot of movie work because he had that look of a grizzled old guy. You could see him in a Western, you could see him in a gangster film, whatever was being cast. And that was how he paid the bills. And this is an opening match. He got heat by pulling trunks. So he'd have a hold clamped on the babyface, but he was also using added leverage and was pulling the trunks. And the people would start to hoot and holler and you'd see the referee start to move around. And he let go of the trunks. And eventually he won the match with 3 body slams and a so-so backbreaker. So there you go. And now I'm not saying be 1953, but what I am saying is learn and watch and steal from a style that's not being done anywhere else, that they're not going to see on TV, and try it and see if it works. Because the poor man's version of Raw or SmackDown or Dynamite is not good because you're not as good as them. If you were as good as them, you'd be signed. Mm-hmm. And you're not signed. So stop trying to impersonate what they're currently seeing on TV and give them something else. Give them the elemental, fundamental basics done better than anyone else. Get really, really good at your fundamentals. If you want to impress WWE ID, guys, girls, it's not for your spectacular diving 450s. It's arm drags and hip tosses and selling and registering and facial expressions and movement and body language and understanding the audience. All of those things, that's what they're looking for. And we've heard that from people who've attended these seminars, who go and who are trying to get into the system. And that's what they want to see. And if you could do that, look like a star doing it, captivating the crowd with the basics, then yeah, they're going to give you a second look because that's what they want to see. And again, Bob mentioned it earlier, Triple H, old territory guy, he's going to like that stuff. And he's going to have that Quentin Tarantino recall of, oh, wow, that's a spot from Brad Armstrong and Bobby Eaton. Oh, wow, that's a That's a spot from the 1970s with Jack Briscoe and Dory Funk Jr. Dory Funk Jr. and Jack Briscoe wrestled for what, 5.5, 6 years,
Mhm.
and the greatest arm drags ever. And it was just basics, chain wrestling, fundamentals, the elementary stuff that you're practicing anyway. Like we said with social media, you're doing it anyway. Now do it on the shows and see if it gets a reaction. Don't think that you have to reinvent the wheel every weekend when you go out.
No, and the Ricky Steamboat arm drag that everybody talks about is actually the Jack Briscoe arm drag. So it's so yeah, just again, watch the stuff and we can pick on, oh, look at Macho Man, he wore a funny hat and he wore funny clothes, and then watch him be the best babyface that you've ever seen in the Survivor Series tag team match that was thrown together with a week to spare on Primetime Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with him and Mr. Perfect, and watch what a great babyface he is. I remember watching that match recently, like in the last 5 years, against Scott Hall and uh, oh my goodness, I forget. But it's Ric Flair. There you go. But it was an incredible match where it's just Macho Man just fighting from underneath and just creating openings for himself and keeping alive. And then the story is that Mr. Perfect has just turned babyface, and is he going to stay babyface or is he going to turn? He walks away for a minute. He comes back. He gets the hot tag. It's a big story, and it ends in a DQ on a pay-per-view. Sometimes you don't need to have a it was a satisfactory conclusion that Mr. Perfect didn't turn and the babyfaces survived another day. It was a Survivor Series, but it doesn't have to be we're ending everything today. Everything's a clean finish. Everything is wrapped in a tight little package. Even if the people don't see you again, you can still show a DQ. You can still, I think, bookers and promoters don't necessarily borrow from the past enough as well. Okay, good. So we've nailed that one, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, so how about another one? Is there something that comes to mind?
And I've seen this a lot, and I'm not an athlete, but I'm an athletic supporter.
Fair enough.
Wait, what?
Reese.
Um, is I want to see the young men and women who are in their early 20s start to develop some good habits with body prep before a show. And what I mean by that is stretching. What I mean by that is a little bit of cardiovascular work. And yeah, space is tight and there's not a lot of locker room space and there's nowhere that I could get a good sweat going, but you need to. And you need to figure out a way to do that. And it's not like, we sit in the chair until it's time to go and then we put our jacket on and head to the ring. I mean, guys are stretching, but what I'm saying is go to a personal trainer if you're seeing one, or ask some friends who are personal trainers to develop a stretching routine for you to be able to be in the best shape possible when you get into the ring.
Right.
Mick Foley is, of course, someone that we all know and love. And Mick Foley, all through his early years, told me he never stretched. He never did anything. And Mick was, of course, the exception rather than the rule, and certainly was not a body guy in an era in which the body was, greatly, greatly emphasized. But he was going out there and he was doing matches and he was not taking care of his body. And it wasn't so, yeah, he's doing elbow drops off the apron of the ring to the concrete floor, but he wasn't stretching. And it was only when he got into his 30s and he, was stretching in WWF that because his body was breaking down, that he was doing it out of necessity because he was in so much pain. So what
Mhm.
I'm saying is develop it now, have a good routine. Yeah, I only have this square. I only have this, 2 foot by 3 foot square that I can operate in. Can you help me develop a stretching routine so that I could be properly uh, ready for competition in this sport that I'm doing? And a personal trainer, somebody that an athletic coach can help you create something. Just and again, it's doing the things, it's body movement, body motion that you might already be doing before you work out. Hopefully you're doing something before you work out. because the body that you have in your 20s is not the same body you're going to have in your 30s, 40s, and beyond. And what Bob and I are talking about is developing a style and a business that is duplicatable year after year, decade after decade, that you can continue to do into your 40s, even if 50s, if you wanted to. And if you want to quit tomorrow, that's okay too. But if you're a weekend warrior and you sit behind a desk all week and you go to the gym 3 times a week and you only look so, you got to do something to make sure that your muscles are ready to go for what you're about to do. So that's one of the biggest things. How has and I know that that's something that you don't do as much as you should, Bob, because you're talking to so many people and you're teaching and you're coaching and you're going over finishes and critiquing matches during shows, that sometimes you overlook some of those things.
Oh, I do. And one of the, I'm going to expand your point because that's a really, really good one, is it's not just stretching, but it's warming up. And you touched on that too. And it's also being generally good fitness. I think, and this isn't going to be us scolding you. Please don't turn off or fast forward this right now, because I'm going to try to say this in a way that maybe makes you understand a little bit more. Um, you want to stay strong. You want to lift weights, and you don't have to lift weights 7 days a week. Even the people that say they lift weights 7 days a week don't. But 3 days a week, a good strength training program, some cardio, and by cardio I mean good walking, get your 10,000 steps in. You should be doing that every day, and then maybe something a little bit more to get your wind up. You should be wrestling. But part of all this healthy routine that Kevin's talking about is realize what events you're on. And if you're on an event that's outside and it's raining and there's 40 people there and we're just trying to get out of there in one piece, we don't have to do every move in the world. We don't have to do every suplex, even if we worked on it at practice and you really want to get it in. One of the things that young people forget is that you're a relief pitcher. You're someone who's gonna pitch 75 games this year. So what I mean by that is wrestle like you're gonna wrestle tomorrow. Have the passion like there's no tomorrow, and put that into your match, but don't necessarily do the action that, hey, I better do this move because you only live once. Well, you should also say, maybe I'm not going to do this move because I only live once. But stay strong so you can be resilient. Resiliency is important as far as bodies go. Warm up correctly. Yeah, I one of the things that has saved me is that even though I don't look like it, I'll be the first one to admit that, I'm actually fairly strong, and I've stayed relatively active, and I'm in the gym 2 to 3 times a week. I take exercise 2 to 3 times a week. And I didn't get in there earlier this week, so I did 3 days in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that's hard for me at my age. But also, I can't blame age too, because there's more and more studies that are coming out that are saying, yes, you do lose a little bit of strength, a little bit of muscle mass, a little bit of this, but been from what the new studies have been saying is it's been grossly overreported, and you can maintain just about all your muscle mass and your bone density and things like that if you just keep practicing. So, and I didn't do this early on. I learned how to lift weights and exercise and do things later on, probably when I was about 30. Stay strong, get into a good and it can be 45 minutes a day, 3 days a week, and some walking and wrestling in the gym and maybe the elliptical a couple times, and you watch an old WrestleMania for half an hour and watch a good match and learn from it, like we said. It doesn't have to be some grueling, crazy schedule, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. If you want to do that too, that's fine, but ramp up to it. But again, just a general good fitness program. And don't wait. They are not going to look at you when you look like nothing. If you look like a person in the crowd, and that, you know what, you may be able to point to me and say, Bob, this guy, this girl, they don't look overly physically impressive. Well, TV doesn't always flatter people as far as bodies go. I've seen plenty of people that look plenty strong, have big arms, big backs, strong shoulders, strong legs, and they get in the ring and it gets kind of washed out from the TV cameras and stuff. Doesn't mean they're not in shape. Doesn't mean they don't. They're not strong and they can't support people. Plus, you're going to be doing a lot of catching, You're going to be doing a lot of picking people up, putting people down. You want to do that safely. You want to be able to maintain that strength. So yeah, that's a real good point, Kevin. I think the last one I'm going to touch on, and it's one that's really near and dear to me, is I don't think people are messaging promoters enough and following up. I think that's the biggest mistake. And there's a very old sales. People have accredited this to me. Please do not credit this to me. This is not mine at all. The fortune is in the follow up. So people complain, and we hear this a lot, Kevin, you and I both. I get left on red a lot. People, they're not listening to me. I'm messaging them. Okay, how many times are you messaging them? And it's usually one time. Well, you and I get messages you and I miss messages from each other when we message each other one time. We have to follow
Yeah.
up. And plus we're all ADHD, show me, look at me people in show business. We're not going to be the most diligent at writing things down, checking boxes, making a list and checking it twice, except for Christmas Crush Wrestling.
Oh,
So we have to remind people gently. We have to follow up. We have to check in with people. Hey, I know we talked about April or May. Which one is better for you? April or May? That's one way to reach a promoter. The easiest way to follow up with a promoter is wait until they have a show and ask them how the show went on Monday. Don't ask them on Sunday because they're all wrestled out. Wait till Monday or Tuesday and say, hey, how'd the show go? How'd you draw? That's how you follow up. That's probably the biggest mistake. I think not messaging enough is the easy mistake, and people get screamed at all the time for that. But we're going to gently scream at you here because I think the biggest, aside from that, the second biggest mistake, and it might actually be the first biggest mistake, is not following up and not following up enough. And you're not bugging promoters because they probably didn't see your message in the first time. Go ahead, Kevin.
correct. No, and again, these are mistakes that are made out of a lack of information. So this is not, you're doing it wrong. No, this is, here's how you can do this better. And everything that we've talked about so far today has been about doing things better. You think my friend at work at 82 years old, it just picked up trucking? No, she's been doing it her whole life. And I guarantee you that if she stopped working, she would lose some of that grip strength in her hand, and she might not live as long as she is going to. The fact that she is active and doing this means that she is going to continue to live and continue to have that strength. And what we see and what the frustrations that we hear a lot are related to promoters not getting back to them. One of the higher ups in one of the biggest companies in the world is notorious for never, ever responding. I've sent him 5 or 6 things that he's never responded to me. When was the last time you messaged him? Oh, it's been a couple of months now. I got frustrated. Okay, message him again. You're saying it, but you're not saying it enough on social media. And you're saying it, but not saying it enough to promoters. So you see how it all ties in? It's a frequency thing, guys and girls. And it's an opportunity for you to set yourself apart, because those that are left on red are getting frustrated and going away. So that's one less competitor that you have. And one of the reasons why I started booking Bob to be an extra for WWF TV is because he made my job easy. My job was to coordinate the extras in all of these different towns, and we worked 2 or 3 weeks ahead. And at the same time, I had like 4 or 5 other jobs within the company. And Bob would message me and said, hey, I see that you have TV coming up here and here. I'm available for you on those dates. If you have any openings, let me know. He did my job for me. And I would book him immediately because it was a box I could check off. Yes, I knew him. Yes, I knew he was reliable. Yes, I knew he was good. And all of those things. So those are the assumptions, right? We assume that the playing field is level with you and everyone else, but it's what you're doing to separate yourself from the pack, separate yourself from your peers. That's going to get you more work. So make the promoter's job easy for them. Hey, I see you guys are going to be in this town. I have family in that town. I'd love to be able to come and show them what I can do for you. Hey, I see you're going to be here on this date, and I know that I've been there before, and I think we can do well. I'd love to be part of the event. Get excited for them, get excited for you, and let that excitement come through in your email. And all of those things are subtly saying, I can help you sell tickets. If I'm on this show, I can sell some tickets. And what I want everybody to realize is that these opportunities are constant. So if you miss out, don't worry about it. There's another one, because they are going to continue to run. And if they don't run, it'll be under another name in that same building. And you have the opportunity to reach out to those people, and you get to know, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, you get to know some of the students who are in the school, find out when they're running their class, show up for a training that night. And I want to be a part of your events. So you're doing the things right. You're just not doing enough of them. And certainly the frustration that we all feel by not getting responses to our emails and our text messages, yes, it's very real. But at the same time, you have to overcome it. And you have to overcome it with positivity. And you have to overcome it by being a difference maker in that message.
And we will validate all your excuses. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I'm busy. My wife is nagging me. My husband's nagging me. I'm busy with the kids. I have this to do. I have that to do. Somebody's sick at home. These are all valid excuses. And guess what? When you're the most successful person in the world, in wrestling or life, you're going to have the same reasons to do it or not do it. So do this now, because and our friend Alex Hormozy, our mentor, who we haven't met, says do the stuff while it's hard, because it's going to be hard again, and when it's easier, it'll be easier. And it's not going away, folks. There's not going to be a perfect time. The old saying, the best time to do the thing was 10 years ago, and the second best time is today. So it's never going away. It's never changing. The world is chaotic. I guarantee you the world was chaotic 5, 10, 15, 20, 250 years ago. In fact, it was probably way more chaotic back then. They're changing. We have a crazy, whatever. The president's crazy. The president's not crazy. I like him. I don't like him. Tariffs. It rained yesterday. It's going to be sunny tomorrow. There was a hurricane 5 years ago. There's going to be a tornado 26 years from now. Yes.
There's a new 24-hour gas station that's opening up down the street. How are we going to draw?
In a row?
Yes, in a row.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have to check that out. But so we may have to cancel the podcast over that.
No.
In other words, there's always going to be something. So start doing the thing. Start doing it small in the beginning. Start doing it badly in the beginning. I said today, you assume that everybody else is starting at an A and gets everything. You always start at an F. You always start being horrible at stuff. People quit between going from an F to a D to a C. They almost never get to a B to an A. But you're never good at something in the beginning. Matt Riddle is an awesome wrestler now. I was there day one when Matt Riddle was hopping around in the ring at the Ring of Honor dojo, and he couldn't hit the ropes. He couldn't fall down. He couldn't do anything. And because it was his first day. And I bet if I trained MMA with Matt Riddle my first day, I'd be really bad at it. In fact, if I trained anybody at MMA, I'd be really bad at it because I've never done it before. And if I tried to play in a symphony, I'd be really bad at it. And whatever, laying cement, I've never done it before. The first day we had people we did an open house at Top Rope, the school at which I trained, and there was one young lady, God bless her for trying, and I hope she comes back. but she was apologizing because she wasn't getting things down. I said, "You're supposed to be bad at this in the beginning. You're supposed to be bad at it at practice anyway. That's what practice is. That's what learning is. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just try hard not to make the same mistake twice. Learn from it, like you said, learning um, opportunities, and that's not just a buzz, half-ass phrase we're throwing out there. Something we learned in sales school. Really analyze that. Make the mistake, kick yourself a little bit, and go, man, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. I left all my for my courier business. I left all my meds in at the warehouse the other day, and I lost 2 hours worth of time. And then I went down there, and there was another lady who was doing the same route I was doing. I said, "Give me all your stuff and take the rest of the day off." And I turned it into a positive because there was nothing else I could do. I screwed up,
Yeah.
apologized, made it right. Nobody was in trouble. Nobody died, I promise. The seats weren't set on fire. The people didn't demand a refund. You just do the best you can. If you make a mistake, own it. Hey, I screwed up. We all had a good laugh. Nobody laughed at me more than me about it. What a silly thing. And it was forgotten the next day. It wasn't some big catastrophe because, boy, I'm not going to do that again. And you know what? Maybe in a year I'll do it again. So what? It
Right.
happens. Um,
I had a mistake this week at work that left a truck driver stuck in a closed customer.
you had
The
him
customer had closed,
trapped.
and I told the driver, no, you need to go here first. And he said, okay. And he went there, and then he called me and he said, I'm stuck inside the customer. Well, just see if there's somebody around. No, you don't understand, Kevin. They're closed. We got the local police involved. Eventually, we rescued the driver. We had to go send 2 drivers to get the truck the next day. Did I get fired? No. Did I turn it into a learning opportunity? Yes, because it made me more diligent to realize that work could be left on someone else, and that doesn't mean that it's assigned to him. So you make mistakes and you learn from them and you have a good laugh about it. So when that driver came in the next night to start his shift, I said, "Okay, driver, you're going to Now's Foods first." And he was like, "What?" So we had a good laugh about it. And I apologized and I talked to him and I explained to him, own it. I explained to him what my mistake was. And he completely understood and we got it. A lot of people want to, and this isn't an indictment of Young or whatever, but I think when people make mistakes, they're not necessarily willing to put up their hand and say, yeah, that was me. And trust me, we've all made mistakes and we've all been fired from jobs because of mistakes that we have made. And sometimes we've been fired from jobs for making no mistakes. Sometimes we haven't done anything that's warranted. It's just one of those things. Yep. But what I notice generationally is that some young people are not willing to own it. Those that are really stand out to me. Mm-hmm. Why did this happen? That was me. I screwed up. Okay, as Cornette would say, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the mistake.
Right.
And it was forgotten about. And those who own it live to fight another day. Because the worst thing that happens is who did this? What happened? And nobody says anything. And then you find out that it was someone that you spoke to about it. And the answer I always give is, why didn't you just tell me? If you would have told me, I wouldn't be mad. But now I don't know if I could. Now I don't know if I can trust you.
Right.
So when you do these things that are learning opportunities, when you want to call them mistakes, okay, own it. Because it's mistakes that everyone else has made. You're not the first one to do it. If you accidentally push the red button and lead us into global thermonuclear war, okay, that one might be harder to walk back. But put up the hand and say it was me. I did it, and I apologize, and it won't happen again. We'll see that it doesn't, and that's the end of it. That's really it. Right. I have a 4.1 if we would like to expound upon this. Just one more. And this is a real opportunity.
Bonus.
Yeah, bonus content. We talked about this a few weeks ago, and it changed my perception of everything, and it was something I learned from Bob. Look at empty seats as lost revenue. So many times promoters are happy because the house went from 40 to 80, but you're in a building that holds 350. That means there's 270 unsold seats. That should frustrate you. And wrestlers, girls and guys, it's on you to sell those seats. Take ownership of those seats. Divide them up mentally. And I'm going to be responsible for selling this section of seats. And how did you do that? Well, by doing all the things that we talked about today, by being on social media more frequently and posting and talking up your shows and your events, and by being different, by being unique. By being unique, I don't mean by, circling to the right instead of the left or the left instead of the right. What I mean is wrestling a style that's duplicatable, but taking from the older stuff and being the best that you could be physically so that you can duplicate it, so that you're not injury prone, so that you're feeling your best and looking your best, and you're being ready to go at a moment's notice. If somebody doesn't show up and you're there, you had better be able to have a plan in mind because you brought your gear. Now you've got to get heated up quickly so that you can get dressed quickly so that you can wrestle. So lollygagging around and talking with your friends is fun. It shows, but you got to do that work and get stretched and set time aside to take care of your bodies. Mm-hmm. So look at empty seats as lost opportunity, lost revenue, and do your best to fill those seats. That's bonus content here from yours truly.
And I agree. And I also think that here's another little tip, and we'll just add this on top. We'll tag this with all the other stuff. Is I think you said it once, but you said it real quick, and we'll dig into it a little tiny bit here. If you tell a promoter that you can sell tickets, that's going to be real tough to turn down if I'm a promoter. So, and guess what? Ask for a piece of it. Hey, if I sell tickets, can I get $5 a ticket? You might make $200, a bigger payoff than you would if you just got paid. So just a little add in on that. Again, another way to make yourself valuable, another way to follow up. So anyway, April, so Kevin will be at AXW. I will be at Undisclosed, and we will hopefully catch up with you. I am away. I am away from the desk. I am on assignment as of a week from today. So we may gang tape a couple of these and drip them out and over the next couple of weeks. So we do apologize if they may be a little bit more evergreen. So we may not talk about current events as much. So, but anyway, Kevin, thank you as always. And
thank you as always.
Yes.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes. And we will see you guys next week.